Hello, let's do reverse chain stitch today. So, why would you want to do reverse chain stitch instead of chain stitch? It's the big question, right? So I'm starting back here because, so I'm going to use the reverse chain stitch to outline my flamingo floaty. Oh, this is a weird life we have. Okay, so when you're looking at something like this, you want to decide like, okay, is this, so this is a continuous line all the way up to here, and then I'd probably switch to black for the beak and then go back down. But one place where there's a little bit of opportunity to make a decision would be right here, right? So I would say every other line is pretty curvy, but right here we kind of have like a sharper line. So at this point, you actually might want to stop your chain stitch and then start again, or simply make sure you have like this be an intersection, like where one chain ends and another begins, so that you don't lose that sharper edge. All right, so we start with this teeny little anchor stitch, tacking stitch. It's just a little baby stitch. Mine's probably too big, but that's what we got. And we come up a stitch length away, and we are going to weave under our little adorable tacking stitch. And I'm pulling a little bit, and then I'm going to go back down this hole, and you will see we've created a single detached chain stitch. And now we will do it again. So we'll come up a stitch length away. I'm going to weave now under my chain, pull, and then go back down that same hole. And I will continue to do this all the way around. So that first question I asked, why would you want to do this versus chain stitch? I used to actually prefer this over chain stitch. I just found it easier to make. Not anymore. Like I find I like just traditional chain stitch better, even though I am more of a stabber than a sewer. I think if you're a sewer, you will definitely prefer to do chain stitch the regular way. One thing I notice is when I do this detached chain stitch is that sometimes the tension is a little bit different. So I have to pay attention. Like I feel like I make it tighter because I think it's harder to make like a poofier, more relaxed chain when you form them this way. So I'm actually going to go from down up now because of the angle I'm working at. But it really doesn't matter. Like it shouldn't matter if you go from the top or the bottom when you're weaving under your previous chain. I say whatever your wrist prefers. So you can see the line is pretty curvy here. So I'm actually going to pretend like we finished that line. So I'm going to come over here because this is going to be an individual chain. Let's see what makes sense, that intersection I was talking about. I would actually suggest, well, no, it's this line. I was going to say maybe do this line first before doing the one I'm doing, but it'll be fine. I'll show that one too. So much for a shorter video. I thought this one would be pretty short, but we'll go ahead and demo that too. And then, let's see, once you get to the beak, you can change colors if you want or not. For the eye, do what you want. If you want to do a French knot. My hat is really starting to interfere here, huh? Okay, so let's see what will happen here. So the next stitch would be up in this direction. So if we do that, are we going to lose our nice? Yeah, so see what happens is it's pulling, since it's not kind of like along the line, it's a really dramatic change in direction. It's pulling this stitch the wrong way. So we're going to have to do a little fakey situation here. Let's see, what should we do? Like one option would be, actually be to just do, you could come from the other direction doing regular chain stitch. But I'll show you another way to do it. I'm just gonna, so it's a little tricky. Actually, so what I want to do is I want to make a little anchor stitch here that I'm going to use. Instead of pulling on this, I'm going to pull on a little small anchor stitch, but I don't want to stitch it yet because I'm afraid I'm going to come back up this same hole. So I'm going to slightly change gears. I'm going to do this tiny little line here that I mentioned, and I just want to make sure it's kind of tucked under. Like I want to make sure the chains on this line are overlapping anything here. So it's basically just at this tiny little spot that I just did. Oh, see this? It's just going to end right where I need to make that little anchor. But it's okay. We're going to figure this out. I'm going to make the anchor first. So I'm going to just do like a teeny little stitch like that. And then when I go up the neck, that's what I'm going to weave under instead of this stitch like I showed before. So we would do that. And that way, well, speaking of other things that can go wrong, so, well, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but see when I'm pulling here, I'm pulling this stitch up a bit. So, yeah, that's not exactly what I want, but we're going to have to keep moving on, I think. I'm just not going to pull as hard, and it should hold. And we should still see our guideline is getting followed. I will make my way up the neck and continue, etc., etc. So I guess this would be another reason why you would maybe prefer reverse chain stitch over chain stitch, is when you do chain stitch, you have to end the chain before like moving on to something else. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to do that tacking stitch. But in this case, it's like, okay, now I'm going to go back before I get too far away and finish this weird little stitch I never did. Like, I don't suggest working like that, where you're bouncing all over the place, but if that's how your brain is feeling today, like apparently mine is, it's like, oh, cool, now I'll just go back up and keep going. So, all right, well, that's that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to finish this, and then I'll come back and finish that line. So, that's it.